The Valorian ship descended through Earth's atmosphere like a falling star, its crystalline surface refracting sunlight in mesmerizing patterns. Dr. Sarah Chen watched from the observation deck of the Global Unity Center in Geneva, her heart pounding with equal parts excitement and apprehension. After decades of searching the stars, humanity had finally made contact with an advanced civilization, though not in the way anyone had expected. The Valorians had simply appeared one day, their massive ships materializing in orbit without warning. Their message was simple: "We have been watching. You are ready." Now, 3 months later, Dr. Chen stood beside Director Marcus Walsh as they prepared to receive the Valorian High Ambassador. The sleek alien vessel touched down with impossible grace on the landing pad, its surface rippling like liquid metal. "Remember," Walsh muttered, "they're here to help us. This is everything we've worked for." But something in his voice suggested he wasn't entirely convinced of his own words. The ship's entrance spiraled open, revealing 3 tall, elegant figures. The Valorians moved with fluid grace, their bioluminescent skin pulsing with subtle patterns of light. High Ambassador Zara, distinguished by her more complex light patterns, stepped forward. Dr. Chen, the ambassador's translator, rendered her melodic speech into English. "Your quantum research has caught our attention, particularly your work on dimensional threading." Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. Her team's research was classified. How did they know about it? "Thank you, Ambassador. We're still in early stages." "Of course you are." Zara's skin flickered with what Sarah had learned to recognize as amusement. "That's why we're here. To guide you. To help you avoid the mistakes other young species have made." The meeting that followed would later be marked as the moment humanity should have recognized the truth. The Valorians presented themselves as benevolent mentors, offering to share their advanced technology and scientific knowledge. But their generosity came with conditions. All quantum research must be conducted under Valorian supervision, Zara explained, her skin now pulsing with authoritative patterns. "For your own safety, of course. The forces you're beginning to manipulate are more dangerous than you realize." Director Walsh frowned. "With all due respect, Ambassador, our scientists have made significant progress independently. We're capable of destroying yourselves." Zara interrupted, her lights darkening. "Like the Centauri did, like the Arcturus civilization. We've seen it before. Young species rushing forward without understanding. We're offering you a chance to avoid their fate." Sarah watched the exchange with growing unease. The Valorians' concern seemed genuine, but something felt off. Their insistence on controlling Earth's quantum research was too specific, too calculated. Later that night, in her lab deep beneath the Geneva facility, Sarah reviewed her team's latest data. Their breakthrough in quantum dimensional threading had come just weeks before the Valorians' arrival. It couldn't be coincidence. Dr. Chen, her assistant, David Park, appeared at her door. "You should see this." He handed her a tablet containing archived astronomical data from the day before first contact. As she studied the readings, her eyes widened. The Valorians hadn't just appeared in orbit. They had been watching, hidden behind advanced cloaking technology, for months. "They're not here to help us," Sarah whispered. "They're here to control us." They saw what we were about to discover. "What do we do?" David asked. Sarah stared at her quantum dimensional threading simulator, its holographic display showing possibilities that the Valorians claimed were centuries beyond human understanding. But she knew better. Her team was on the verge of something revolutionary, something that might explain why such an advanced species would suddenly take such intense interest in humanity. "We continue our work," she said firmly. "But from now on, we have 2 projects. The official one, under their supervision, and the real one." She pulled up a secure communication channel to Director Walsh. "Sir, we need to talk. It's about Project Phoenix. I think I know why the Valorians are really here." As she sent the message, Sarah glanced at the night sky visible through her lab's window. Somewhere up there, Valorian ships patrolled Earth's orbit, their crystalline surfaces gleaming with artificial starlight. They thought they were dealing with a young, naive species that would gratefully accept their guidance and control. They were about to learn how dangerous it was to underestimate human ingenuity. 2 kilometers beneath the Rocky Mountains, in a facility that officially didn't exist, Dr. Sarah Chen stared at the quantum dimensional display with bloodshot eyes. She hadn't slept in 36 hours, but sleep could wait. What she was seeing would change everything. "Run simulation sequence Delta 7 again," she ordered the AI system. Around her, Project Phoenix's secret laboratory hummed with energy. Unlike the sterile, crystal-based technology the Valorians had gifted to humanity, this lab was built on purely human innovation. Organic computer architectures interfaced with quantum processors, creating a hybrid system that defied conventional physics. Dr. Chen, David Park called from his workstation. Valorian inspection team is scheduled for the decoy lab in Geneva in 6 hours. Sarah nodded without looking away from her display. The decoy lab was perfect, filled with exactly the kind of primitive quantum research the Valorians expected to find. For 18 months, they'd maintained the illusion of grateful students while the real work happened here. "Show me the tensor field analysis," she commanded. The holographic display shifted, revealing patterns that would have made their alien mentors choke on their superiority. The Valorians approached quantum mechanics like engineers trying to build a dam to control a river. Humans had taken a different approach altogether. "It's beautiful, isn't it?" Director Walsh's voice came from the lab entrance. He looked older than when this all began, the weight of secrecy etched into his face. The Valorians are so focused on controlling quantum states that they never considered trying to dance with them instead. Sarah smiled. That was exactly it. Where the Valorians built rigid structures to force quantum particles to behave, humanity had created systems that moved with quantum uncertainty, turning unpredictability into an advantage. "Latest test results." She handed Walsh a tablet. "We're not just matching their technology anymore. We're surpassing it." Walsh's eyes widened as he read. "These numbers, they're impossible." "Impossible by their rules," Sarah corrected. "But they never understood what we discovered, that consciousness itself is a quantum phenomenon. We're not just observing quantum states, we're participating in them." The breakthrough had come 6 months ago, when Sarah's team realized why the Valorians were so intent on controlling Earth's quantum research. Their entire technological civilization was built on the principle of quantum manipulation through force. The idea that quantum states could be influenced through conscious interaction threatened everything they believed about physics. "How close are we?" Walsh asked, watching the quantum dance play out across the displays. "The prototype is ready." Sarah led him to a sealed chamber at the lab center. Inside, suspended in a field of pure possibility, hovered humanity's answer to Valorian control, the quantum dreamer. It looked deceptively simple, a neural interface crown connected to a quantum core that pulsed with colors that seemed to exist in more than 3 dimensions, but its true nature defied conventional description. "It doesn't just allow us to observe quantum states," Sarah explained, her voice filled with barely contained excitement. "It lets us dream them into being. Every possibility becomes accessible because consciousness itself exists across all quantum states simultaneously." Walsh studied the device, "And you're certain they can't detect it?" The Valorians look for power signatures, energy emissions, particle fluctuations. They never scan for consciousness resonance because they don't believe it's possible. It's like trying to measure temperature with a light meter. They're looking for the wrong thing entirely. An alert flashed across the lab's security screens. Another Valorian guidance ship had entered Earth's atmosphere. Their scheduled inspections were becoming more frequent, their questions more pointed. They sensed something was changing, but couldn't understand what. "How many people know the full scope of what we've achieved?" Walsh asked. 23. Sarah replied. "The core team here, you, and the Joint Chiefs. Everyone else thinks we're just working on quantum computing improvements. Walsh nodded grimly. Keep it that way. The Valorians are getting suspicious. Their last diplomatic communication included thinly veiled threats about ensuring proper development protocols. Sarah turned back to the quantum dreamer, its impossible colors reflecting in her eyes. Let them suspect. By the time they figure it out, it'll be too late. Humanity isn't just going to break free from their control. We're going to show the galaxy a whole new way of looking at reality itself. How long until we can demonstrate? Walsh asked. 2 weeks, Sarah said confidently. We'll need to coordinate with the other hidden facilities in the Himalayas and Antarctic. When we move, we need to show them everything at once. No half measures. The Valorians won't accept this peacefully, Walsh warned. Their entire civilization is built on being the most technologically advanced species in known space. We're not just threatening their control over Earth, we're threatening their place in the galaxy. Sarah's expression hardened. They should have thought of that before they tried to keep humanity in a cage. We're ready for whatever they throw at us. As if in response, the quantum dreamer's core pulsed with new possibilities, its quantum states dancing with human consciousness in ways the Valorians had deemed impossible. In 2 weeks, the galaxy would learn why it was dangerous to underestimate human potential. And somewhere high above Earth, in their crystalline ships, humanity's would-be masters continued their patrol, blissfully unaware that their time as the galaxy's superior species was coming to an end. The alarm sounded at 300 hours, its urgent tone echoing through Project Phoenix's underground facility. Sarah Chen jolted awake at her workstation, her heart racing as red warning lights pulsed through the lab. On her screens, multiple Valorian warships were dropping out of hyperspace, their crystalline hulls forming a web around Earth. They know. David's voice cracked with tension as he pulled up the sensor data. Someone must have talked. No, Sarah replied, watching the Valorian ship's formation. They don't know. They suspect. There's a difference. She opened a secure channel to Director Walsh. Sir, we have company. I see them. Walsh's voice was steady despite the situation. The Valorian High Council is demanding an emergency meeting. They're claiming they've detected dangerous quantum anomalies from Earth. Sarah glanced at the quantum dreamer, its core pulsing serenely in its containment field. They're bluffing. What they've detected are echoes, quantum shadows of our test runs. They can't know what's causing them. Nevertheless, they're here with a fleet. Your 2 weeks just became 2 hours. Are we ready? Sarah looked around the lab at her team, seeing the mixture of fear and determination on their faces. For 18 months, they'd worked in secret, pushing the boundaries of what was thought possible. Now the moment of truth had arrived earlier than planned. We're ready, she said firmly. Alert the Himalayan and Antarctic facilities. Execute Protocol Awakening. The next 2 hours were a blur of activity. As Valorian ships descended through Earth's atmosphere, humanity prepared to reveal just how far they'd advanced. The quantum dreamer was brought to full power, its consciousness quantum interface linking with its siblings in the other hidden facilities. Sarah stood in the control center, watching as the Valorian High Ambassador's ship landed at the Geneva facility. On her screens, she could see Ambassador Zara stride into the emergency council chamber, her bioluminescent patterns radiating anger and concern. The time for games is over. Zara's translated voice boomed through the chamber. Our sensors detect quantum manipulations far beyond your authorized research levels. You will surrender your facilities for immediate inspection and control. Director Walsh, standing at the council podium, smiled slightly. Ambassador, I'm afraid there's been a misunderstanding. We're not asking for your permission anymore. Sarah took her cue. She placed the neural interface crown on her head, connecting to the quantum dreamer's core. Around the world, 22 other scientists did the same. The quantum field that permeated reality itself began to ripple with new possibilities. What are you doing? Zara demanded, her patterns shifting to alarm as her sensors detected something impossible. Stop this immediately. You never understood us. Sarah's voice came through the council chamber speakers. You saw us as children playing with forces we couldn't comprehend. But consciousness itself is a quantum phenomenon, Ambassador. And human consciousness, it dreams of infinite possibilities. The quantum dreamer's power built to a crescendo. Reality itself seemed to hold its breath. Then, with a thought, Sarah and her team showed the Valorians exactly what humanity had achieved. The laws of physics didn't break. They danced. Quantum states that the Valorians had spent millennia trying to control through brute force responded to human consciousness like partners in an elegant ballet. The hidden facilities revealed themselves, not by dropping shields or camouflage, but by existing in multiple quantum states simultaneously. Impossible, Zara whispered, her translator struggling with her shock. You can't. This defies all known physics. No, Sarah replied through the neural link. It defies your understanding of physics. Reality isn't a machine to be controlled, Ambassador. It's a partner to be understood. To demonstrate, she merged her consciousness deeper with the quantum dreamer. The Valorian ships in orbit found themselves experiencing multiple quantum states at once. Their rigid control systems, designed to force quantum particles into compliance, began to fail as reality itself responded to human thought. Stand down, your fleet, Walsh ordered calmly. Then we can discuss a new relationship between our species, one of equals. The Valorian ships hung paralyzed in space, their advanced technology useless against humans who had learned to dream in quantum possibilities. Humanity hadn't just caught up to their would-be masters. They'd discovered a completely new path of advancement. As the Valorian ambassador stared in shock at displays showing the impossible, Sarah allowed herself a small smile. The chains of control were breaking, and the galaxy would never be the same. We respect your civilization's achievements, Ambassador, she said through the quantum link. But the time of keeping humanity in a box is over. The question is, are you ready to learn a new way of seeing reality itself? The answer to that question would reshape the galaxy's future, and humanity, finally free to explore its full potential, was ready to lead the way into a new age of discovery. Word spread through the galaxy like a quantum wave, impossible to contain or control. Humanity hadn't just broken free from Valorian oversight. They'd revolutionized the understanding of reality itself. Within days, diplomatic vessels from 100 alien civilizations arrived in Earth's solar system, their crews eager to witness what the Valorians had tried to prevent. Sarah Chen stood in the newly constructed Quantum Innovation Center in Geneva, watching representatives from across the galaxy examine the public version of the Quantum Dreamer. The device's core pulsed with possibilities, drawing gasps of wonder from species that had thought themselves beyond surprise. Remarkable, a Centauri scientist whispered, his crystalline form vibrating with excitement. We spent millennia trying to force quantum states into compliance. Never once did we consider consciousness integration. That's what the Valorians feared most, Director Walsh commented, standing beside Sarah. Not that we'd catch up to them, but that we'd find a completely different path. The past week had transformed Earth's position in galactic politics. The Valorian fleet had withdrawn to their home systems, their mighty ships humbled by technology they couldn't even detect properly. But more importantly, their monopoly on advanced physics was shattered. Dr. Chen, a voice called from the crowd. An Arcturus representative approached, their energy form contained within an environmental suit. My civilization would like to propose a joint research initiative. We believe our understanding of consciousness mechanics could complement your quantum dreaming technology. Before Sarah could respond, more representatives pressed forward, each offering collaboration, trade deals, and cultural exchange. Species that had once looked down on humanity now sought their insight, their unique perspective on reality itself. But it wasn't just about technology. News had reached Earth that protests were erupting across Valorian space. Their own citizens, seeing humanity's breakthrough, were questioning centuries of rigid scientific doctrine. The quantum dance that humans had discovered was reshaping more than physics. It was changing how species across the galaxy thought about their own potential. "We've received another communication from the Valorian High Council," David reported, approaching with a datapad. "They're requesting assistance." Sarah raised an eyebrow. "Requesting or demanding?" "Actually requesting," David smiled. "Their quantum research facilities are experiencing unexpected phenomena. Turns out when you spend thousands of years forcing quantum particles to behave, then suddenly stop, reality gets a bit enthusiastic about exploring new possibilities." The implications were staggering. Humanity's breakthrough wasn't just advancing their own civilization. It was unleashing a wave of change throughout galactic society. Species that had been locked into rigid technological paths for millennia were suddenly seeing new possibilities. Dr. Chen, a young Valorian scientist, approached, her bioluminescent patterns showing humility, an expression Sarah had never seen from their species before. "We've been wrong. Our entire approach to physics, to reality itself, we became so focused on control that we forgot to listen." Sarah gestured to the quantum dreamer. "Would you like to try? To see what it feels like to dance with quantum possibilities instead of forcing them?" The Valorian's patterns shifted with uncertainty, then determination. As she stepped forward to accept the neural interface crown, other scientists from across the galaxy watched intently. This wasn't just a technological demonstration. It was the beginning of a new era of galactic cooperation. In orbit, Earth's first quantum ships were taking shape, their forms fluid and ever-changing as they existed across multiple states simultaneously. They weren't built to dominate or control, but to explore and understand. Humanity's first steps into the wider galaxy would not be marked by conquest or submission, but by innovation and collaboration. "We're receiving requests for quantum consciousness training from over 300 worlds," David reported, scanning through diplomatic channels. "Even species that haven't contacted Earth in centuries are reaching out." Sarah watched as the Valorian scientist experienced her first quantum dance, her rigid patterns dissolving into expressions of wonder. "Send them all the same response. Earth welcomes collaboration with any species willing to explore new possibilities. The age of forcing reality to obey is over. It's time to learn how to dream with the quantum realm itself." The galaxy was changing, not through war or dominance, but through a fundamental shift in understanding. Humanity had shown that there was always another way, always another perspective to consider. As Sarah looked out at the gathered representatives of countless civilizations, she saw not competitors or potential enemies, but fellow explorers ready to embark on a journey of discovery that would reshape existence itself. The chains of conventional physics hadn't just been broken. They'd been transformed into bridges between species, between understandings, between possibilities. And humanity, the species that dared to dream in quantum, was ready to show the galaxy just how far those possibilities could reach. 5 years after humanity's quantum revelation, Earth had become the galaxy's center of innovation. The orbital rings around the planet shimmered with quantum possibilities, stations and ships existing in multiple states simultaneously as their crews dreamed new realities into being. Dr. Sarah Chen stood at the observation deck of Quantum Academy, watching the latest class of students arrive. Below her, representatives from over 1,000 alien species walked through gardens that shifted through quantum states, their minds opening to new ways of seeing reality. "The Arcturus delegation has arrived," David Park, now Dean of Interspecies Relations, reported. "And you won't believe who's leading it." Sarah turned to see Ambassador Zara, the former Valorian who had once threatened Earth with destruction, walking through the Academy's quantum-shifted halls. Her bioluminescent patterns now flowed with fluid grace, having abandoned the rigid structures of her past. 5 years, Zora marveled, approaching Sarah. 5 years since your species showed us how wrong we were. The galaxy has changed more in this time than in the previous 10,000 years. She wasn't exaggerating. The quantum consciousness revolution had transformed civilization itself. Worlds that had been locked in technological stagnation for millennia were experiencing renaissance. The rigid hierarchies of galactic politics had dissolved, replaced by a cooperative network of species exploring reality's infinite possibilities together. The latest data from the Quantum Exploration Fleet. David handed Sarah a tablet. Human consciousness technology, merged with the unique perspectives of 100 alien species, had opened up entirely new frontiers of discovery. Ships guided by quantum-linked crews were pushing the boundaries of known space, not through brute force, but through understanding. We've confirmed conscious quantum interactions in over 60% of studied phenomena. Sarah read aloud. The universe itself appears to be far more aware than we ever imagined. The implications had shaken the foundations of science across the galaxy. Reality wasn't a cold, mechanical system to be controlled, but a living dance of possibilities that responded to consciousness itself. Humanity's greatest contribution hadn't been technological, it had been philosophical. The children of Earth, Zara said softly, using the term that had spread through galactic culture. The species that taught the galaxy how to dream. Through the quantum-shifted windows, Sarah could see Earth's transformed surface. Cities that existed in multiple states, transportation systems that moved through quantum possibilities rather than physical space, and at the heart of it all, human consciousness reaching out to touch the quantum dream of reality itself. We've received another request, David announced. The Valorian High Council wants to formally dissolve the concept of technological hierarchies among species. They're proposing a new galactic structure based on shared discovery and mutual growth. Sarah smiled. The species that had once claimed superiority over all others had learned perhaps the most important lesson. True advancement came not from control, but from understanding. Quantum anomaly detected, the Academy's AI announced suddenly. On the observation deck's displays, a massive pattern of quantum interactions appeared at the edge of known space. But unlike the chaos the Valorians had once feared, these patterns moved with purpose, with awareness. "It's beautiful," Zara whispered, her patterns shifting with wonder. "We spent so long trying to impose order on the universe that we never saw the patterns that were already there." Sarah nodded, watching as ships from a dozen species moved to investigate the phenomenon. Not as competitors, but as partners in discovery. Humanity had shown the galaxy that the greatest achievements came not from dominating reality, but from dancing with it. "What do you think we'll find out there?" David asked, gazing at the quantum patterns that beckoned from deep space. "Everything," Sarah replied, "and nothing, and all possibilities in between. That's what we gave the galaxy, not just new technology, but a new way of seeing. Every discovery isn't an endpoint, but a doorway to new questions, new dreams, new dances with reality itself." As if in response, the Quantum Academy shifted through its own possibilities, its structure resonating with the combined consciousness of 1,000 species learning to dream together. The age of rigid physics and forced control was over. The age of quantum dreams had begun. And humanity, the species that had dared to imagine different, stood ready to lead the galaxy not through dominance, but through understanding. The chains that had bound reality itself had been transformed into wings of possibility, carrying civilization toward a future where every consciousness could dance with the quantum dreams of existence. The new dawn had arrived, and its light shimmered with infinite possibilities.